Good morning. Welcome to day 5 of the Purpose-Driven Church. I'm going to be covering pages 38 to 42. The section is called What Kind of Church Would We Be? And basically, if you remember from the previous video, Rick Warren and his family have just moved to Orange County, California, and they started a Bible study in their apartment, and they are preparing now to start a service, Sunday service. And they're asking themselves, what kind of church will this be, and who will we reach out to? So in his research, he found that there are many churches in Orange County, California, many well-known preachers, and a lot of different options for people who already consider themselves strong Christians and are just looking for a place to be able to go and practice and refresh their faith. So what they decided is that they would really focus on the unbelievers or the unchurched. People who either didn't have a Christian faith at all, or they maybe they were raised in it, but they turned their back on it from one way or another. They were just fed up on the church itself, or the people, or the institution. And so that's what they've decided to focus on. And what he did at the beginning was he actually went door to door. He went door to door for 12 weeks, and he went around asking people what they felt like their needs were. So I'm just going to read here real quick. In order to understand the mindset of unchurched Southern Californians, I spent the first 12 weeks after moving to the Saddleback Valley going door to door talking to people. Even though I knew that what these people really needed most was a relationship to Christ, I wanted to first listen to what they thought were their most pressing needs. That's not marketing, it's just being polite. I learned that most people can't hear until they've first been heard. Intelligent, caring conversation opens the door for evangelism with non-believers faster than anything else I've ever used. Felt needs, whether real or imaginary, are a starting point for expressing love to people. To me, it was just a matter of meeting the people I intended to reach. So when Rick Warren talks earlier in his book about not copying necessarily the methods of Saddleback, but looking at the underlying principles, I think that this is one of the things he's talking about. Because and I think that in our movement we do very similar. We need to take note of what he's done, because we've kind of done the opposite. We look very much at what we feel people's needs are, whether they need a closer relationship with God, they need a deeper understanding of the principle. Well, if they just had a deeper understanding of the principle, then they would know how to apply it in their lives, and then they wouldn't feel like it's irrelevant, for example. That might be what some people feel. Or some people might say, well, if they just can let go of their resentment, then they'll see how great what we have is. And even though those things are true, doesn't necessarily mean anyone will do that or will listen to you. And what he's saying is that even though he had an understanding of what people needed, but at the same time, in order to open the door for conversation with these people and open the door for them to even want to listen to him, he needed to take that first step and listen to other people. Whether their needs were just perceived or they were real, they felt real to them. And it meant a lot to them that Rick would go to their home or talk to them and be willing to listen and hear what those needs were. And I really feel like in our movement, this is actually a real thing. Like, we have members who've become jaded or distanced themselves from the movement. We have second generation who kind of in the same boat. And many times we think, well, they just need to get their act together. They need to start practicing the principle. They need to forgive and repent and so on and so forth, which is true. Those things are very true. But at the same time, we found that there's so much people are willing to open up if you make a little effort just to go and listen to them and hear about what is happening in their lives and what's important to them. A lot of times people feel like the one thing that's important to leaders is their tithing or their results. How many people have you blessed? How many people have you witnessed to? How many times have you come to Sunday service? These kind of things. How much have you been tithing? And so, but then oftentimes feel like they care about their actual personal lives. And a lot of we feel like we've had a lot of success, and also just deepening of relationship just by wanting to take the time to hear what's going on in people's lives. And it worked very well for Rick Warren. He did that. He got a very clear idea of what the unchurched and the unbelievers wanted and felt they needed in their life. And then him together with other people who were working with him at that time, they put together a nice letter, specifically directed to those kinds of people and those needs. They hand addressed and hand stamped 15,000 letters and sent them out 10 days before Easter, which was supposed to be the when the service was going to happen. And he expected about a 1% response rate, so about 150 people to come possibly out of that. And then they spent a lot of time, preparing the service and doing a dress rehearsal and defining, the vision for Saddleback. And their first day, actually not even the first day, it was the dress rehearsal came, and he was sharing his vision, and he says, "I remember how scared I felt after sharing the vision at the dress rehearsal service. It's not even the real service. I was overwhelmed with the fear of failure. What if it doesn't happen? Is this vision really from God, or is it just a wild dream of an idealistic 26-year-old?" So it's so relatable, right? Very honest, and I can really relate with that too. I've had many of those same thoughts and feelings. Um, so Rick Warren's vision from 1980 is kind of long, but I've attached it to the email, and so you're welcome to take a look at it and kind of get a sense of what his vision was for his church at that time. And that's it. And tomorrow we'll cover the rest of chapter 1 and finish that up. Thank you so much. Have a great day.